friends, welcome to Sourcing Classes under the series Anthropology Through Vocabulary. Today I am choosing two terms, that is household and domestic group. See, this is a set of terms that we generally come across in familial anthropology. For a novice reader, the two terms do not seem to be different from one another. But I am trying to bring to you, especially because in the UPSC anthropology syllabus for civil services, the terms family, household and domestic group are very clearly indicated. Now, I am not going to deal in detail here about family, but then I would want to bring to you very simple difference between the two terms. Now, when it comes to domestic group, it is actually a set of people sharing the same living space. The set of people sharing the same living space. Meaning the terms cohabitation and living together becomes the primordial principle there. But then I would want to dwell here a little more about what is the meaning of living space. A living space can be a place of work or production, a farmland, or the artisan's workshop, or even any kind of a shop, any kind of a business establishment. But when it comes to the contemporary societies, especially the Western societies, when we say sharing of the living space, meaning it may be in a residential place, there may be common corridors or common living rooms, etc., which are actually shared by, or dining halls, kitchens. These are the common living spaces that are shared by residents there. But there can be their own private space. They may be, their own room, which may be a space that is restricted for them. But here you will have to understand that when it comes to the domestic group, these living spaces are shared by people who are clearly related kinsmen. Meaning, nuclear family forms the basic inner circle of a domestic group. So a nuclear family can be a domestic group where the parents and the children are living together. They might be having their own private rooms, but then they have a commonly shared living space. Now, another kind of a domestic group may be an extension of a nuclear family. So, nuclear family along with their filial members in the sense that one's own grandparents or some kind of intergenerational relations living together. So, in the nuclear family, we see that it is only parental generation and the children's generation. When we say that filial links are also incorporated in the domestic group, we see that the parents are there. So that forms the filial link. And thirdly, nuclear family along with the collateral links also forms a domestic group. By collateral links, we mean one's mother's siblings may be living with the nuclear family along with maybe their children. And then one's father's siblings living with their children, or maybe simply the father's brother, father's sister may be living with the nuclear family. So the crux of the story is in the domestic group, the kin group shares a living space, a common living space. Now, keeping that in mind, if I am going ahead, household refers to all those people who occupy a housing unit. When I say housing unit, this is a typical term that we currently find in the urban centers. Huge lot of flats in an apartment, that's a household, that's a housing unit. Meaning that you are actually sharing separate living, you are living in separate living quarters. But then the people who may be related, who may not be related, are sharing that kind of a living unit. So it can be a single family, it can be a one person living alone, two or more families living together, or a group of people related or unrelated. When they are sharing the living arrangement, we call it a housing unit. Now, in a nutshell, what we can say is domestic group consists of kinsmen sharing a living space. A household is actually a group of people who may or may not be kinsmen living together, sharing particular spaces, but then they have their own separate dwelling unit within the huge lot of living space there. I hope it is clear to you. Keep watching Social Classes.